minutes ahead of schedule. Hey, welcome to X's and O's. I'm Jeff Harrison along with my co-host
Leslie Spoor.
Leslie, today we're going to do something a little different. It's going to be, we're going to kind of throw you under the bus. I guess maybe that's not really different.
Than usual.
Before we get started, though, for somebody just joining us, kind of tell us a little bit about what the show is, what the intention is. But before we do that, what are you doing here?
Well, this show is called X's and O's for the game of your business, basically. And every week while I'm waiting for them to set up stuff, I start messing around with the X's and O's. So who knows what configuration they'll be in next time.
The reason we're here, though, is we're here to give advice to those entrepreneurial business owners in and around the Coachella Valley, and quite frankly, anyone watching anywhere on the planet that feels like, hey, I want to start a business. How would I do it? I'm already doing a business. It's not going as well as I'd like, or I want to take it higher, or I'm already doing a business very high level. I want to scale even more. That's why we're here. Because Leslie, you bring some unique skill sets into this arena, this conversation. Tell us just a little bit about your background and why someone would want to tune in, and why they should take your feedback seriously.
Well, I don't know. Does anybody take me seriously? I'm just kidding. So,
Dan?
does somebody take me seriously? I have over 40 years of experience in corporate operations, right? So business operations. And 20 years of that time is spent consulting, helping other companies improve their efficiency and productivity so they can improve their profit margins. I'm basically a business efficiency expert when it comes to how to run a business. And then in the last 10 years, 11 years, I've created 2 companies, entrepreneurial companies, and several products. So I feel uniquely qualified to speak to people in a way that they can relate, because I've walked in their shoes and have experienced their pain. And what I really want to try to do is make it easier for somebody else so they don't have to have costly mistakes and errors and find out the hard way the stuff I had to find out.
Well, Leslie, sometimes maybe somebody watching going, hey, I have a T-shirt shop, and I don't mean this negative. I'm just giving an example. I have a single T-shirt shop down in Palm Springs, and you said you worked with corporations and companies. You're talking about large, because you worked for.
I worked in aerospace and defense manufacturing for most of my career. Even when I was consulting, for 10 of those years, I was consulting in aerospace companies. So I understand inventory and production control and operations management very, very well.
But the thing here is the thought is, yeah, but you know what? I don't have a marketing department. I don't have this. I don't have those people.
It doesn't matter.
Can your information still be beneficial?
Absolutely, because business operates a single way. There is a happy path you can follow. I always call it that, right? The happy path that you can follow to streamline your business. There's certain things that every business needs to do, and it's quite a number of them, because they're all different areas where you can do it. And then depending on the kind of business you're operating and whether you have inventory or you don't, if it's service or it's, it just depends on the kind of business, but it doesn't make any difference. I used to teach at Cal State Northridge for 2.5 years, I think, teaching operations management to small business owners. And I help people that made bagels, and people that designed ties, and people that built shovels. And it really doesn't matter to me what you do.
There are people that build shovels?
Yep.
I thought that was all done on my machine.
Well, maybe now, but not then. Not in those days.
Yeah. So the point is your information is relevant.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll say, hey, you know what? If you can build or make the ingredients, put the ingredients together and make one pancake, and then all of a sudden 10 people show up, all you have to do is take that exact same process and multiply it by 10, and you should get a result that is expected. Like a determined.
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah. Hey, we're talking pancakes here. Yes. I like that theory. So today we're going to talk about. I'm going to play a role, because you also do in the hats that you wear. You have 3 businesses active and live right now. One of them is a consulting business, but also like a mentoring business, right?
Right. Coaching, mentoring.
Mentoring. So what
shoulders for crying.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
I know she had to change her shirt when she got here because she was on the phone when we got in. But anyway, the point is, I want to bring I think, a fairly common question to you today.
Okay.
And let's go through kind of a, not an hour, but maybe like, a 15, 20-minute coaching session, and I'm going to step into that role, not that I've never been in that role before, and see how you handle it.
Okay.
Now, before we get going, though, I want to encourage people who are watching this, whether it's live or it's taped down the road sometime and you're watching this, I want to encourage you to send in your challenge. What are you facing? Yeah. And we'll use this platform to, again,
to help
you.
Yeah.
Because if you're having that challenge, I guarantee you there's a 1,000 other out there that are doing exactly the same thing and having that same challenge. So,
well, I'd like to say to that end, there's almost every business, they all run basically the same way. It really doesn't matter what widget or service or whatever you're doing, doesn't really matter. But a lot of people believe that it does. And so when I was consulting, before when I was consulting, not now, but I would walk into a company and all I had was my name and my brains, and those people didn't know me from anybody, right? And they would say, well, you don't understand our business because it's different. I heard that so many times, so I finally created a presentation back in the PowerPoint days. I created a presentation called Common Complaints, and I would go in there, and the first thing I would do is call the managers together and do this presentation. And as you saw the heads nodding around the room, you saw the realization come to them that, yes, she does understand my situation because business is business. Yeah. And that's a big deal, right? So if you can understand that, I can most likely relate and help you. It doesn't matter what kind of business, or any good consultant should be able to do that, then you'll be far ahead on that.
Yeah. So today, here's the situation. I'm playing a role, and the role is I do own a T-shirt shop down in Palm Springs. Okay? And so here's the deal. It's working. Yeah, it's working. Okay, we're selling T-shirts and whatnot, but you know what? I'm running it all the time. I'm wearing so many flipping hats, and at the end of the day, it almost feels like, or even at the end of the month, I do the X's and O's at the end of the month, and my O's, there's not much, if any, left over. Yeah. And so I have that conversation in my head when I'm driving home at 10 o'clock at night after shutting things down and folding all the T-shirts after everybody's gone through them, and I had this conversation and said, wow, should I just go get a job? Because at the end of the day, they have to worry about payroll. They have to worry about advertising. They have to worry about inventory. And all I have to do is just go home.
Yeah, everybody hits that point, by the way.
Because it'd be different if all of a sudden my O's at the end of the month were stacking up. But all I'm feeling is tremendous overwhelm, and I feel like I'm at that fork in the road of like, hey, either I'm gonna somehow figure this out with your help, or you know what, I'm gonna go back and get another job.
Right.
Help me through this, because I don't want to go back and get another job, Leslie.
Well, the first thing, and I may deviate from the you specifically, but the first thing is that
this is all about me.
It's all about me. The first thing that I would ask you is, what tasks are you doing on a daily basis? Because most of us small business owners, especially in the beginning, we have to do everything ourselves, right? We can't afford to hire anybody, and so we do everything. We do the financial piece of it. In your scenario, we're ordering inventory and T-shirts. We're keeping them stocked. We're dealing with the customer. We're ringing the cash register. We're literally doing everything,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So I need to know what it is you're doing and where your value is for your company, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to narrow your focus so that the things that you're doing are actually furthering your business objectives. So in the beginning, where all those things were necessary, all those things are necessary, eventually you come to a point where you have to say, some of them I have to let go. That becomes extremely difficult for the small business owner to do because it's their company. They hold it very close. They work night and day to get this started, and they're starting to see some success, and now we're asking them to release some of that responsibility and give it to someone else.
Yeah, what I'm finding though, Leslie, in my situation is, if I'm hearing this right, is at some point I have to let some of these things go. Meaning I have to bring somebody else in to do those things.
Right.
But right now, there's not enough O's left at the end of the month for me to really, right now, for me to even think that that's a possibility. Because I'm just at the end of the month, I'm like just barely paying my bills for my business and paying my rent on my house.
Right.
So it's like you're asking me to do something. I'm thinking there's no room for that.
Right. And that's real common feeling also. But here's the thing is that if you want to build your business, and please don't laugh at me, but I believe in the power of positive thought and projection, right? So if you stay in that little tiny place of lack where I don't have enough money to do something, you'll never get enough money. So at some point you have to say, all right, I'm going to allocate this much of my income per month to something that will alleviate me to be able to alleviate the work that I'm doing to allow me to go and bring in more business, go to some networking events, make some new connections, build some new relationships. And it is very difficult. I sell time for a living personally, so every time I go to hire somebody to do something, I think, how many hours do I have to sell in order to pay for this person? And in the very beginning, exactly what you were talking about is I felt like I couldn't afford to do it. But what happens is that you're going to get so fed up that you can't not afford to do it. Right? And so you have to outsource some of your tasks. In the t-shirt example, perhaps you bring somebody in during the busiest times of the day to help run the cash register, just so that you can service more customers, because one of you can only speak to a few customers at a time.
Because they're right in front of
They're
us.
right in front of you.
It out,
Right.
know?
And if they say, oh, I don't need any help, but it turns out that if you go and talk to people, that's their standard response. But if you talk to them, you may be able to sell a t-shirt or two or show them something they didn't know you had and be able to increase your cash for that day because somebody else is doing the physical ring up the cash register.
So you're saying that I should take a look at what are my busiest days,
Right.
and then determine, hey, maybe it's only like 4 hours a day,
Right.
and maybe it's only 4 days a week. So
Right.
you're saying now I need to allocate like 16 hours.
Right.
And
To something. And then what am I going to do with that 16 hours
Yeah.
instead?
Am I just on the floor helping that out, helping sell more shirts?
Well, that could be one
that's the
thing,
case?
or you could be attending a webinar or a seminar about how to grow your business, or you could be going to a networking group and building new relationships, or you could be volunteering some time at a charity that community outreach always results in new business for your company. So there's all kinds of, or maybe you add something new. You add a newsletter to your business that you didn't have before and you didn't have time to do, so you can reach even farther out beyond your immediate physical ability to reach somebody.
I mean, I have a newsletter. I've never published it. I keep working because I don't have time. It's called Short Sleeve Shirts. I just don't have
Short
time.
Sleeve Shirts.
I just don't have time.
He's so glib.
And and it's one of those things. I have it. The first section is called pullovers, and then I just don't have any time to send it out. Right? I mean, I know I already have.
I feel you. That's a good example because when I first was doing my newsletters, it would take me anywhere from 8 to 20 hours a month to write a newsletter and send it out. And that newsletter is extremely popular with people. They like it because they can hear me speaking, and I talk way too much about my personal life, and they really like it. But it came to the point where I could not donate 8 to 20 hours a month to that newsletter. So if you calculate that in time that is costing me, that's quite a bit of money, right?
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is I still write my own newsletters, but I hired somebody else to format them, put them into the newsletter distribution. What do you ever call that?
Template?
The template. Thank you.
Okay.
My mind didn't work for a minute. Put it into the template and make sure all the pictures are selected and put in there in format so it looks nice. I review it, and then he scheduled it for distribution. So that cut my time down considerably, and it allowed me to focus on what I do best, which is writing for the newsletter. And for me, the non-value added time was formatting and looking for pictures and trying to make it look pretty. I don't need to do that. You don't need to do it either. In the beginning, you do it because you have to.
Yeah.
But eventually you get to a point where you can't. Same thing with, I'll give you another example. Maybe, how much time are you spending on your finance for your pullover, long sleeve, short sleeve shirt company?
It feels like it's a lot of time, but not near enough time. I mean, it's one of those things that open the shop at 8:30. I go in there and do a little bit of paperwork, and then we close at 9 because we're in a high traffic area where it's resort wear, and so by 9 o'clock, I'm trying to do a little bit of paperwork, but not a lot. So maybe an hour a day
Oh,
but it's just catch up. It's not
that's
even
small.
It's not even forecasting or anything.
Right. So yeah, and in a retail business, you must do a forecast, right? And you have to know your seasonality on your business, because in the summertime you're selling more short sleeve T-shirts, but in the wintertime you're selling more long sleeve T-shirts. Unless you live where we do, where all the snowbirds come in and they want short sleeve T-shirts in the winter when we're all freezing, right?
Yeah, and it's 96 today.
So, you have to know the seasonality of your business, and you need to know how much, you have to look at the trends in how much inventory you need to carry so that you can keep your investment costs down. I mean, there's a bunch of different things. I kind of deviated for a minute because I got thinking about inventory, and there's ways to get your costs down, right? If you need more money to buy more O's, right, maybe you have too much money tied up into your inventory. Right? Gotcha. So if you can determine your seasonality of the inventory and say, okay, I typically, on average, a trend is 3 points of data. So if the trend says that I sell extra large T-shirts faster than I sell large T-shirts or small, maybe I invest a little more in extra large and a lot less in small or medium or whatever the difference is. Then the money that you're not spending in inventory, you can use to delegate some of your services so that you have people that can help you.
Gotcha.
Right? So for retail companies, there's a huge opportunity. It's called opportunity cost, actually, in inventory. And you need to keep your investment down, or push your supply back to your suppliers so that they can carry the inventory for you so it's available when you need it. There's all kinds of stuff associated with inventory management that you can keep your costs down. But that's a good way to find money for outsourcing. So back to the financial situation. So in my own, it's easier to use my own examples because I think you can relate to them easier, is when I used to do all my own finance. All day long, every day. I was doing all the invoicing, all the billing, writing all the checks. I used to write them by hand in the beginning because that's what you do, right? The best thing in the world was when I got pre-printed checks and was able to put them in the printer. That was like, oh my gosh, that was so great. But so eventually I said, I can't. I just got to the point where I to even look at QuickBooks, and I love QuickBooks, by the way, but even to look at it made me feel nauseous. I thought I just can't sit here and enter one more piece of data. So I hired a bookkeeper, and in the beginning, I wasn't trusting enough to give her my credit card piece of it. I didn't want her charging the cards. I only wanted her to enter the data. But over time, then I got where I was looking at credit cards going, I don't want to sit here and process credit cards. I could be doing something else. So now she does credit cards. So little by little over time, the responsibility for invoicing and paying vendors and things became much more efficient. I have pre-printed checks. She enters all the data. She runs the credit cards for me. I just oversee it, run the reports, monitor the activities. I do still do payroll, but it's very quick because it's all automated through QuickBooks. So I still do payroll, but eventually I'll probably give her that too. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you don't have to let go of everything all at once. That's the point I'm trying to make here, is that as you identify opportunities for time saving for yourself, because you will lose your mind, I promise you, if you don't find a way to streamline your processes. So when you identify an area, maybe you give a little bit of it away at a time.
Okay.
So that you don't have to give it all up at once. That's better for your psyche, and it makes sure that the process transitions with consistency and quality. Okay, which is really important.
So let's kind of take a summary here. So at this point, would you suggest anything different, or say, hey Jeff, go back, let's look at what you do every day on a daily basis, and let's figure out where you can delegate some of this or bring somebody else in, and again, possibly increase sales. And then second thing would be then look at your inventory for opportunity costs.
Right.
And then decide, okay, if my extra larges are selling better than my small and mediums, how am I getting rid of those small and mediums, and devise a program with that? Well,
and before I answer your question, because you just said that, I have to tell you that also you have to look at non-moving inventory, because that's money that's sitting there doing nothing. Yeah. Right? So you need to find a way to, that's why people have sales. They want to get rid of the inventory and take that money and put it into something else that's going to sell. Yeah. Right? So, but beyond that, to answer your question, to create an action plan for a business, what you have to do is sit down and talk to that business and find out what they do. First of all, what are you doing? You'd be shocked at how many small business owners, all companies really, doesn't matter. I worked with companies in the thousands of people, so it's, but I like anything under 250 and especially anything under 50. I love small businesses, but how many of them are doing busy work, things that are not adding or helping them get towards the goal of what they're trying to accomplish with their company. So having clearly stated goals and objectives and understanding what they're doing and each of those tasks, how they relate to what they're trying to accomplish is key. Okay, so you have to sit down and work through that with them.
So that's my first step.
That's your first step.
Okay.
Then which is a pretty big step.
Yeah.
And then because they don't always disclose everything they're doing. They think they're disclosing it. They're not trying to be evasive. They just don't realize that they need to define every step of every minute
It's like
of
doing
every
a budget
day.
for personal things. There's some blind spots there. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're going, God, I spent $37 on gum this month. or
Exactly.
chiclets or whatever.
Or
right?
coffee is $10 an ounce. You know what I mean? So, so first of all, you have to identify what are they doing, how does it to relate to the goals and objectives of the company, and then look for. There's always a lot of low-hanging fruit and which means easy opportunity to clear out some of the waste. So you can generally quickly eliminate several things that people are doing that they should not be doing because it doesn't matter, right?
Okay.
There's no point to. I mean, if you're spending 2 hours a day on social media, other than watching this video, of course, but if you're spending 2 hours a day just checking to see what Susie's doing down the street and looking at pictures of food that somebody took and a couple cat videos, I promise you that time would be better well spent for your business.
Good point.
Right? So having somebody that has done what you're doing and can look objectively at what you're doing during the day, because you're in a forest and tree situation, right? You're so close to it, you can't see where the opportunity is. So we want to look at that and say, okay, here are some things you can eliminate right away. Now, what about these? Okay, these other tasks all pertain to growing your business. So which of these do you have to do? Which do you like to do? Which could be easily delegated?
Okay.
Right? And if you're going to delegate them, to whom can you delegate? Right?
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough when it's a one-man show.
It is.
Yeah.
And so you're naturally going to expand. My bookkeeper is a part-time person who comes in a couple of times a week and does bookkeeping for me. And I'm fortunate in that she's available when I need. I can call her up and say, are you available today? And she'll come and do books for me. If you need to, the person who does my newsletters, for example, I never even see him. Okay, I met him for lunch once or twice, but overall we do everything over the phone or through email or texting. So we have a Dropbox account. I put the newsletters in there. He takes them and goes. It's very simple. So you just have to find ways to delegate stuff. And I know that it feels like you can't afford it. Believe me, I feel your pain. I went through this for years where I felt like, oh my gosh, this is so many hours a month that I have to. But you know what happens is that when you let it go and you believe in yourself that you can do this and you demonstrate that you believe in it by actually delegating it and taking that chance, more money comes in automatically. And I hesitate to say that because I don't want anybody calling me and saying, hey, I did what you said.
So you're not guaranteeing it.
I'm not guaranteeing it because you have
Your
to take
results may differ.
because you
or vary.
because you have to take the steps to do the work that the vacuum that you created by delegating something needs to be filled with something else. And that something else must directly relate to your goals and objectives for the business so that you can continue to grow your business.
Gotcha.
Right?
So with what you've given me, if I'm that business owner that owns that T-shirt shop down in Palm Springs, when would how much time would you give me to take those two objectives that you gave me? Like, hey, what do I do? Write down everything I do, and then identify potential opportunities in my inventory. How long before we get back together and you check in with me?
Well,
maybe 30 days, maybe a couple of weeks?
Oh gosh, no. It depends on how fed up you are, really, because if you are serious about wanting to affect positive change in your business, and if you are truly drowning in overwhelm, which all of us do. I had a day like that yesterday, so we all have days where we drown in overwhelm. Then we need to create an action plan and do it as quickly as possible. The sooner we are able to alleviate some of the burden you're carrying, the better your business is going to grow. right? So you really don't want to create an action plan and then say, okay, I'll get back to you in 30 days or 60 days or, 6 weeks. You won't, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
And you need somebody like me that's going to hold you accountable. Do you know when I first, we have time? I don't know how much time we
Yeah,
have.
we got about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Give
When
me
I
a
first
best shot.
started my company, I started what I called a goals group, and there were 4 or 5 of us, small business owners, about the same size, about the same place in our business, and we met once a week. It was a safe zone where we could talk, to each other in confidence and know that we weren't going to go spread it around. And we would voice our goals and objectives for the week, and then the next week we'd come and see how we did and hold each other accountable. That was before, I had that's if you don't have somebody you can come to like me, another consultant, somebody who's done this. I can't stress enough how important it is to find somebody to help you that is outside of your sphere of friends, outside of your family, and is objective and has experience in doing what you're trying to do, okay? Because family is the worst. They love you. They will tell you that you are going to fail 6 weeks from Sunday. That's
The Yabba
just
brothers.
that's just how they are. They mean well, but they're worried about you and they're thinking you've taken on too much. So avoid them. Yeah, avoid your friends. Find somebody separate and objective and who can look at your business from outside and see all of the opportunity, right? So that's really important.
Well, and just this little closing piece for me was this, I think it's Einstein who said the mindset that got you in that situation is not the same mindset that's going to get you out.
That's very correct.
And then the other piece was, I think it was like, I can't remember the percentage, but it's a real high percentage, in the 90s, when an industry is having some challenges, the answer comes from outside that industry, not from inside, because that's that same mindset. They can only, like you said, the forest in the trees, you can only see that you're in that forest, versus, hey, somebody's above it and said, this is the move, this is where you need to go, right?
Right.
So I'm going to encourage you to reach out to Leslie. I think at this point probably her information's on the screen, and just give her a call or use her website. Your website is
conciergebusinesssolutions.com. Lots of S's. conciergebusinesssolutions.com.
and your contact information is on the website.
It is on. There's a contact us page on there, and then my phone number is 760-898-9604. But you can just click through the contact us page, or you can find me on Facebook right here. Just send me a message or leave a comment, and I'll do my best to help you. The goal is about the more we help each other, the better we all are. So that's the objective. I mean, yes, I'm in a business to make money, but if you have one question, I will likely help you. So,
Are you open to, maybe if the first 3 or 4 people that call you, you'll answer a question for
Sure.
them?
Sure.
Okay. So if you take action, like you hear this, so today it's 3:25 on the 15th.
I should have worn green today.
It's tax day.
Oh, it's tax day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And so,
No, it's March, not April. Tax days. Oh, business taxes.
Corporate taxes
Oh, mine were
today.
done in January, so I didn't think about that.
Mine are sent in, they're okay, but it just reminded me today's the 15th. But if you'll call in, let's say in the next 48 hours, if you'll contact Leslie in the next 48 hours, and you're one of the first 3 who do that,
Yep.
you'll spend some time with her on the phone and answer one question. So bring that one burning question. And I think, is her phone number on the screen there, Amy? She's getting it on the
It's
screen
coming.
there. She's getting it on the screen there. Well, Leslie, thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
We're here every week, and again, we're going to encourage you to, in the comments, or you can go to the contact page on her website, and you can write a question in there, and then we'll bring it to the table today.
Yeah.
When we get on whatever week it is, and we'll address that. We'd love to help you out. I know, again, with your extensive background in business and large corporations running your own, there's probably nothing that you haven't seen.
No, and that's one of the things I really enjoy is that we don't always plan ahead on what we're going to talk about. So he'll just throw something at me, and I've got to come up with a solution. So and that's the way I like it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
You can nickname us Punch and Counterpunch.
Yeah, I think we're going to say Punch and Judy, and that was going to be really bad.
No, I didn't want to get punched. Do you have her number up there yet? Okay. So So Amy's getting that information on the page there. But again, you can go to her website. All her contact information is there. And again, for the next 3 people in the next 48 hours, you can reach out and she will take your call and answer that question for you and see if she can help you out, because she's very good at what she does.
Thank you.
Leslie, thank you so much for joining us.
Ah, my pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on X's and O's. I'm Jeff Harrison.
I'm Leslie Spoor.
We'll see you next time. Nice. I hear that clicking. I'm thinking that's the
The end of it.
broadcast.
I know.